During our initial brainstorming, our idea was to develop a cost containment incentive program for the hospital instead of choosing an actual current process to improve upon. But during our early research, we discovered that the hospital already has a similar program in place that none of us were really all that familiar with. It's called the STAR program. The STAR program stands for Support for Total Achievement and Recognition. So we revised our project title to be figuring out how we would propose to increase awareness and utilization of the STAR program.
We sent out a survey via SurveyMonkey to all of the managers within the hospital. We had over 150 responses, and as you can see from the results, we noticed that even though there was a little over 50% that were aware of it, nobody was really aware of how the process actually worked, and very little people were being nominated for this.
Okay, so the next step is, what is the current process in place? When an employee goes above and beyond and thinks outside the box and comes up with an idea or comes up with a solution that's deemed meaningful, that's deemed significant to the organization, their manager can go ahead and fill out a nomination form, a staff bonus nomination form. It's out there on the internet. So that would be the first step. The next step, that form would be moved on to the vice president or the director, depending upon where that employee falls in the structure. The vice presidents, from the vice president, it will then be moved on to the executive team. Now, the executive team will review this nomination form and make a determination whether it will move ahead or it will stop at that point. If it moves ahead, the form is then sent on to compensation, for which that's my department, so I'll receive the form. From compensation, then it will be moved on to the payroll. Payroll will then make out a manual check, which will then be submitted back to compensation and issued to the vice president responsible for that area. From that point on, the vice president or the manager will then give that to the employee. Next slide. So we have a few recommendations on the front end and on the back end. On the front end, based on what we found from our survey results, is that we need to increase the level of awareness. And how do we go about doing this? Some of the ideas we have is the onboarding process. We're thinking about including materials on the STAR bonus for newly hired employees. So we want to tell them right off the bat that as you join Christ Hospital, we welcome your ideas. We welcome your solutions from experiences that you bring to the hospital. Other ways that we're thinking of increasing awareness is printing out posters, flyers, putting it out to employee posters, bulletin boards, so that employees walking down the hallway are informed about this program and can participate in it. The process in between remains the same. It still needs approval from the manager, it needs approval from the vice president, goes to the executive committee team, which makes a determination, yes or no, and then goes compensation. So that remains the same. But in the back end is the recognition part of it. We feel that it's important if employees are recognized for their ideas, and one way to do this is to have a senior member of the executive team be the one to award the check, so that it leaves an impression not only to the employee but to other employees in the department, so that they can also be motivated to come up with the ideas and bring out suggestions. Other recommendations we have is posting information on members who've have been awarded this nomination on the intranet, for example, sending it out on the communique, so that other members of the community, members of the organization are aware of this bonus and aware of this program.
We didn't have a very big budget for this, so our budget would come, we don't know where it would come from exactly, but flyers would cost $400 for approximately 1,000 colored copies, and we would be placing those throughout the hospital and the ambulatory sites. We would have posters for this size that cost $450 for approximately 150 of those. And again, we would place those in various sites on campus and off campus. And then we would have, I don't know if you can see in the corner here, the pins to give the employee when they are awarded the star performer. And those are costs of $150 plus shipping for 100 pins. And then, of course, the award bonuses would come from the budget that it already comes from. And then value-wise, what value does this bring to the hospital? You know, the big talk in all the hospital these days is what value does everything bring. And it would help with the hospital cost savings and achievement of the critical success factors. It can increase employee satisfaction and morale. Even this morning I said, everybody asked me, why are you dressed up? And I told them I was coming to do this and what we were doing, and they were like, oh, they were really excited that, you know, they had never heard about it and maybe they could get a bonus out of it. And then also using it as a recruitment tool, you know, maybe bring more employees here when they think that they could get some kind of a bonus. And then we have our own star performer. She did receive it. Kathy received it in 2010, and she's going to talk to you about what she did.
So here's some examples of other employees that have won the STAR award. Basically, what they've done is improve the workflow process and also find areas of cost containment. What I did was create a program that kind of married both of those, in which I took these blue wraps that wrap our instruments in the operating room, and I circulated them around the hospital to sewers that I found in the Christ Hospital network through the communique, and we made patient care bags, and we distributed them to the ICU and up on the 9th floor, and we got a lot of great responses from them, and I won the STAR Award for it.
So our lessons learned from this project were twofold. We had our opportunities for improvement, or things we could have done better. We were reminded at the beginning of our project that we had to make sure that we identified all the stakeholders of the process and make sure we get approval from them before we moved forward with the project. And then we also needed to make sure we understood the tools that we were going to use, especially the SurveyMonkey. We had a couple glitches with it that didn't really affect our results, but we weren't aware of. And then second, our best practices was working in our diverse group was really beneficial because we all have different strengths and talents that we were able to bring to the group. But probably even more importantly was that we picked a topic that kind of we were all able to relate to, so we were all very easily able to contribute to the project. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?